Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to your ELA class for Tuesday, March the 5th, 2022. Anything is possible. Here's today's target. Today, I will practice reading strategies with test questions so that I can understand how to answer test questions. I know I've got it if I can feel confident that I'm ready for the STAR test. All right, I hope you're sitting down because I want to tell you something that will just kaboom, blow your mind. Mrs. Lansford is going to tell you one time that I do not want you to follow directions. What? Mrs. Lansford is telling us not to follow directions? You betcha. If you follow the directions I'm going to show you in a minute, it will mess you up. I'm telling you. You want to see which directions you're not supposed to follow? On the STAR test, you will see a place that says, read the next two selections, then choose the best answer for each question. Wait a minute. Read the next two selections. And then it starts giving the story. The name of the first story is Fighting Hunger with a Kick. And it starts on the story. But hang on. If you read two stories, one right after the other, and then you get to the questions about both stories, what's going to happen? What was that? You are not going to remember what was in the first story by the time you get to the questions. And besides, yesterday, Mrs. Lansford told you the greatest strategy, read the questions first. These directions are telling you to read two stories and then answer the questions about both stories. Don't do that. I guarantee this will be on your STAR test. They're going to tell you to read two stories, read the next two selections, then choose the best answer for each question. Don't do it. Here's what I want you to do. You listening? If you go through both stories, just click, 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 click till you get through both stories and you'll get to the questions. I'm going to show you something. Here's the beginning of the first story. Okay? If you go through both stories and then you get to the questions, it will say, I hope I don't mess this up. If I do, oh, there's a second story. It just has the first story and the second story without any questions in between. Just boom, boom. Don't read them both. It'll mess you up. So you click through both stories and then there will be a box that says, using Fighting Hunger with a Kick, page 28 and 29, to answer the following questions. You go to the questions. You find the box that says use the first story. The name of the first story is Fighting Hunger with a Kick. You find the box with the name of the first story in it and you read the questions. Remember yesterday I told you always read the questions first. You find the box, you read the questions. Okay, we're going to practice that in a minute. And then you go back and you read the first story and you answer the questions for the first story. You're going to read the questions for the first story, read the first story, answer the questions for the first story. Ignore the second story for a minute. You can click through it and go back. All right? Then, after you read the first story and answer the questions, you read the second story. Well, first, no. You read the first story, answer the questions, and then right after the questions for the first story, you'll see a box that says, use Caring for Kids is in the bag to answer questions 30 through 34. You won't see that because it's the name of the story isn't in the bag, but you'll see the name of the second story and they're starting the questions for the second story. You read the questions for the first story. You read the first story. You answered the questions for the first story, just like any other passage on the STAR test. Now, they're trying to trick you and have you read both stories at the same time. Don't do that. Don't let those blue-haired evil people in Austin trick my champions. Read the questions for the first story. Read the first story, answer the questions for the first story. Then you go back to where the questions are. Right after the questions for the first story, it'll give you the questions for the second story. You read the questions for the second story, read the second story, and then answer the questions for the second story. So it's just like you were reading any other passage in STAR. Read the questions, read the story, answer the questions. And then you go to the second story. Read the questions, read the story, answer the questions. Now, here's the only difference. After the questions for the second story, there will be a box that says, use both stories. This one is Fighting Hunger with a Kick and Caring for Kids. Use both stories to answer the next 4 questions. I'll tell you up front. There are 4 questions for the first story. There are 4 questions for the second story. And there are 4 questions to compare both stories. This is what you do. Are you listening? Good. Read the questions for the first story. Read the first story. Answer the questions for the first story. That's done. Read the questions for the second story. Read the second story. Answer the questions for the second story. That's done. Then go back. There are going to be 4 more questions about to compare both stories. There are 4 of them. You can answer them. You can go back and look at the stories if you want to answer them. You may not have to. And you answer them. Do not try to read both stories like it tells you to, and then answer all 12 questions. That is insanity. Read the first 4 questions, read the first story, answer the first 4 questions. Read the second 4 questions, read the story, answer the second 4 questions. Then answer the 4 questions that compare both stories. If you try to read both stories and then answer all 12 questions, I guarantee you will get messed up. We're going to practice doing that. Right now, we're going to look at the questions for the first story. The name of the first story is Fighting Hunger with a Kick. Oh, that sounds interesting. We're going to read the questions that go with it. Are we going to know the answers to the questions yet? No. But like I told you yesterday, we'll know what we're looking for. We'll know where the answers are when we see them. Let's read this first question. Oh, by the way, if you have text to speech, it will not read the stories for you, but it will read the questions. If you're allowed to use text to speech, I think all of you are. If you're allowed to use text to speech, for heaven's sakes, use it. Okay? I'm not sure. I need to check, but I think all of you are. Let's read this first question. The attendance at Wally's first soccer camp suggests that members of the community were unfamiliar with the game of soccer, willing to support his effort to help others, more interested in helping food banks than in playing soccer, or eager for him to become president of the organization. I don't know, but we're going to recognize it as soon as we find it in the story. Let's look at the next question. According to the article, what is one way Wally achieves his goal of providing soccer instructions to children? How does he provide the soccer instruction? He asked newspaper reporters to inform others about soccer camps. He asked local food banks to provide locations for soccer camps. He trains school teachers to become qualified coaches. Or he depends on teenagers to volunteer as coaches. I don't know the answer to any of those yet, but we're going to recognize the answer when we see it in the story, because now we know what we're looking for. Which sentence from the article shows that developing soccer skills isn't the only focus of Kicking for Hunger camps? First answer choice, during the 3-day camp, more than 70 children were able to play soccer. Okay. The coaches also teach children about staying healthy by exercising and eating the right foods. Now there's the word also, and this one doesn't say it isn't the only, which is the same thing as saying also. I don't know though, we'll see. During the school year, Kicking for Hunger offers clinics that are usually held for 1 to 3 days. Kicking for Hunger has set a goal of bringing soccer camps to other states by 2014 and other countries by 2016. I don't know, but we'll recognize the answer when we see it, because now we know what we're looking for. Last question for the first story. What was one benefit of Whaley winning the Reader's Choice Hero of the Year award? A, he was able to focus on a new career. B, he was able to choose an experienced president for his organization. C, he received advice about how to be an effective soccer coach. Or D, he was able to use the prize money to help his organization. Now we know what we're looking for. Let's read the story. Now, on the STAR test, the computer won't read it to you, but I'm going to read it to you today. And this story is not going to be on your STAR test. This one's taken from an old STAR test in 2011. So it's not going to be on your STAR test, but I'm using it to show you how to answer these. Right there it says, read the next 2 selections, then choose the best answer. For each question, no, we're not going to do that. We're going to read the questions for the first story, read the first story, read the questions for the second story, read the second story and answer the questions, and then read the questions for both of them. Okay, here we go. In the summer of 2006, Gabriel Whaley, a high school student, wanted to do something to help people in his hometown of Midland, North Carolina. Whaley knew that the local food banks, places that collect food for the hungry, could not feed all the families in need of help in his community. As a soccer lover, he also knew that the cost of soccer camps prevented some children from attending them. Whaley found a way to help solve both problems. Remember, I told you the other day? You read the first paragraph, you stop and you think, what did I just read? Okay, this kid named Gabriel Whaley, he loves soccer, and he knows that some kids can't afford soccer camp and that the food banks need food collected. Okay, let's see if he can find a way to help them. Whaley established a program called Kicking for Hunger. He organized his own soccer camp for children and asked them to bring canned goods to pay for the training. So they didn't have to pay. All they had to do was bring canned food. This allowed many children to participate, and the children who attended the camp helped hungry people in the community by supporting the food banks with their canned goods. Whaley's project was a success. During the 3-day camp, more than 70 children were able to play soccer. Better still, about 1,500 pounds of food was collected and donated to the food bank. Trying to remember the questions. I think I'll go back and look at one. Oh, the attendance at Whaley's first soccer camp suggests that members of the community were unfamiliar with the game of soccer. I think they knew about the game of soccer. Okay, I'm going to cross that answer out. Were they willing to support his effort to help others? Now, 70 kids came and they brought 1,500 pounds of food. That might be the answer, but never answer a question until you've looked at all the choices. Were they more interested in helping food banks than in playing soccer? Well, 70 kids played soccer. I'll put a question mark by that too. Were they eager to help him become president of the organization? That paragraph said nothing about him being president of an organization. It's either G or H. I think that they were willing to support his effort to help others. Now, the reason I think that is because I read the rest of that paragraph and saw where, okay, they wanted their kids to play soccer, yes, but that 1,500 pounds of food tells me they were interested in helping feed the hungry. Look at me. Whenever you're reading a story, stop at every paragraph, look at your questions again, and see if the answer to one of your questions is in that paragraph. Okay, here we go. Oh, another question. Which sentence from the article shows that developing soccer skill isn't the only focus of Kicking for Hunger camps? Okay. During the 3-day camp, more than 70 children were able to play soccer. To me, that is just developing soccer skills. Doesn't tell about doing anything else. Okay, let's see what else. The coaches also teach children about staying healthy by exercising and eating the right foods. Well, that's another focus that they have. Like the question says, we're looking for a focus. Okay, I'll put a question mark. Never answer a question until you've seen all of the answer choices. During the school year, Kicking for Hunger offers clinics that are usually held for 1 to 3 days. That doesn't show any focus of the camp. That's not correct. Remember, if you see an answer that doesn't make sense, for heaven's sakes, cross it out. Kicking for Hunger has set a goal of bringing soccer camps to other states by 2014 and to other countries by 2016. Okay, that's talking about their goals, but I think that what they're focusing on is keeping kids healthy and exercising. What do you think? I hear most of you agreeing with me, so that's the answer choice that we're going to mark as correct. They teach about staying healthy and exercising. That is the focus of the camps. They do want to set a goal of bringing soccer camps to other states, but the way the camps are set up at first was showing that helping kids stay healthy. Okay, let's look at this one. Kicking for Hunger continues to offer soccer training to children in exchange for food donations. The soccer camps are usually held for 3 or 4 days in the summer and are open to children 5 to 14 years old. Because all skill levels are welcome, the coaches focus on teaching soccer basics, such as passing and shooting. The coaches also teach children about staying healthy and exercising. There's the other focus, and eating the right foods. During the school year, Kicking for Hunger offers clinics that are usually held for 1 to 3 days. Children attending these clinics can practice their soccer skills. Do you guys like to play soccer? Well, there's a picture of Gabriel Whaley right there with some of his soccer kids. Since Whaley started the program, Kicking for Hunger has collected more than 16,000 pounds of food and taught soccer skills to more than 1,000 children. Now, a busy college student, Whaley still serves as president of the organization and helps make important decisions about it. Kicking for Hunger has set a goal of bringing soccer camps to other states by 2014 and to other countries by 2016. Thanks to his efforts, Whaley was named People Magazine's Reader's Choice Hero of the Year for 2011. The prize money he received from the award will be used to help support Kicking for Hunger's. Wait a minute. I remember a question about how it was so important that he won that Reader's Choice Award. And right here it tells you, the prize money he received from the award will be used to help support Kicking for Hunger's increasing number of programs. Guess what? There's that question. He was able to use the prize money to help his organization. What was one benefit of Whaley's winning the Reader's Choice Hero of the Year award? He was able to use the prize money to help his organization. Look at me. We just read the first 4 questions, read the first story, and answered the first 4 questions. If we would have tried to read both stories without answering any questions, we would have forgotten the answers to these questions before we ever got to them. Now, we're going to go on to the next story. What do you think I'm going to do before I read the next story? Anybody have an idea? What do I always do before I read the story? What do I read first? Yes, read the questions first. So, I clicked through this mean old STAAR test. Oh, there's one more paragraph, just a minute. Whaley thinks that one of the reasons his camps are successful is the effort of volunteers. That's why his camps are successful. Many of the coaches are teenagers who want to help others. The coaches try to teach children that it is important to enjoy soccer than to win games. The children who attend the camps have fun and also feel good about helping hungry families. Kicking for Hunger is proof that the efforts of one person can lead to a difference in the lives of many. I think there's one more question for this story too. Yep. According to the article, and we just saw the answer to this one, what is one way Whaley achieves his goal of providing soccer instruction to children? How does he meet that goal? He would have to have a lot of money to pay coaches, but he doesn't take any money for his camps. He just take canned good. You can't give a can of food to a coach. I saw nothing. It says he asked newspaper reporters to inform others about the soccer camps. I saw nothing about a newspaper reporter. Did you? No? He asked local food banks to provide locations for soccer camps. Now, it talked about food banks, but all it said was he gives them food. He doesn't ask them to provide locations. He trains school teachers to become qualified coaches. Did you see anywhere in there, in the whole story, where school teachers were the coaches? I didn't either. He depends on teenagers to volunteer as coaches. Well, that's the only answer left. And we just read it, didn't we? Now, we're going to read the questions for the second story. Never read a story until you read the questions first. The name of the second story is Caring for Kids. Is in the bag. Caring for Kids is in the bag. I just clicked through my STAR test until I found this little box, and there will be a little box that has the name of the second story and says, here are the questions. Okay? Do we read these questions before we read the first story? That would be crazy. You read the questions for the first story. You read the first story. You answer the questions for the first story. Done. Then you read the questions for the second story. Here we go. Which words from paragraph 3, so right there I know I'm going to have to look close at paragraph 3, best help the reader understand what appropriate means. So in paragraph 3, I'm going to see the word appropriate, and I want to know, it will help me understand what it means. Let's take a look. Appropriate. Is that people who work with children? Appropriate. Volunteers who fill bags? Appropriate. Fit the needs of? Or appropriate. Experienced other difficulties. I'm going to tell you something really quick. This is a quick tip. When you have a word that the question wants you to understand the meaning, I play a game called fill in the blank. Instead of the word, you fill in one of these blanks. Let me show you. I'll show you that in a minute. Paragraph 4, so we know we're going to have to look careful at paragraph 4, is important to the selection because it provides information about how the Care Bags projects what? We're going to look at paragraph 4 and see if the Care Bags projects shares information with its volunteers. Is that why it's important? Is it important because it relies on people to support its goals? Is it important because it identifies which toys children prefer? Or is it important because it estimates how many bags will be needed? I won't know the answer to that until I read paragraph 4. But now I know what I'm looking for in paragraph 4. Which sentence from the selection shows that Wignall's, that's the girl's last name, Wignall's project has expanded over the years? She and other volunteers placed these items in bags to give children who needed them? Maybe. After the bags were filled, they were sent to the children who need them. Volunteers who sew make the bags and to hold the donated items and also make other things that are included in the bags, such as blankets and bibs, or thanks to these kits, about 70 other care bag programs have been started. We want to see which sentence tells us the project has expanded over the years. I think I might already know. Here is a sentence from paragraph 6. So we're going to look in paragraph 6 and find this sentence. One of these programs is managed by people in Africa who once received bags from Wignall. Oh, so there are some people in Africa who got some of these bags and now they're helping other people. The author includes this sentence most likely to illustrate how many care bag programs there are in the world, show that Wignall's project has a positive effect on others, demonstrate why more volunteers for care bags programs are needed, or to show how long it can take for Wignall's bag to reach people in need. But now I know what I'm looking for. The summary question. I told you yesterday, if you ever see a question that says, which of these is the best summary of the selection, don't bother reading that question before you read the story, because you're going to have to know the beginning, middle, and end. And there's a lot of reading here. On the summary questions, save them till after you read the story. Okay? Here is the story. Caring for kids is in the bag. When Annie Wignall was 11 years old, she learned about a family that had to leave their home quickly. The children in the family didn't have time to pack. Wignall thought about how difficult it would be to leave her favorite toys and books behind. So she came up with a way to help other children in such a situation. Wignall talked to her parents about her idea and then got to work. She went to businesses in her town and asked people to donate toys, games, toothbrushes, soap, and shampoo. She and other volunteers placed these items in bags to give to children who needed them. Annie named her project Care Bags. How does this project help others? First, people who work with children let Annie's group know about children who have lost their homes or experienced other difficulties. So people that work with kids, like teachers and other people, tell Annie, hey, we've got some kids here that lost their home, or they don't have any more money and they don't have any toys or books. Can you help them? Then Wignall's friends and other volunteers fill bags to fit the needs of those children. They have bags that are appropriate for children of different ages. I want to show you something. Remember when we talked about context clues? There's that word appropriate. The definition for appropriate is right there. It fits the needs. Oh, we just found an answer. Shh, don't tell anybody. Which words from paragraph 3 help the reader understand what appropriate means? People who work with children, volunteers who fill bags, fit the needs of, or experienced other difficulties. We just found that answer. What is it? Appropriate means it fits the needs of. Do you see how, when you read the questions first, the answers sort of pop out? Wow. Okay, right here, there's appropriate and there's fits the needs of. We use context clues, and what I did here was I just clicked that mean old STAR test back to the story, found the word appropriate, and found the context clue. All right, here we go with the rest of the story. One goal of the project is to encourage people to help others. People can help by donating new toys and other items. Volunteers who sew make the bags that hold the donated items and also make other things that are included in the bags, such as blankets and bibs. The project has become more successful over the years. So it's more successful than ever. Now an elementary school teacher, Wignall is also the president and director of the Care Bags Foundation. So now she's a teacher. The project has gone from helping people in Wignall's hometown to helping thousands of children all over the world. So far, almost 20,000 bags have been delivered to places in the United States and in other countries. Paragraph 4, that's the one we just read, is important to the selection. Why was that paragraph important? Because it provides information about the Care Back projects, shares information with its volunteers. Was the most important part of that? No. Relies on people to support its goals. Did that paragraph talk about how people sew, how people fill bags? I believe it did. It relies on people. I'm going to put a question mark by that answer. Does it identify which toys is the most important part of that? Which toys children prefer? Now, if we were looking at paragraph 3, that would be true. But we're looking at paragraph 4. You got to be careful there sometimes. That's not the answer. That was in paragraph 3. Or does it estimate how many bags will be needed? That's important. That's not so important, is it? We got one answer left. The only tricky answer was identifying which toys children prefer is probably more important, but it talks about that in paragraph 3, not paragraph 4. And this question asking about paragraph 4. Okay, here's the rest of the story. One goal of the project is to encourage people to help others. People can help by donating new toys and other items. Volunteers who sew and make bags, this is paragraph 4, can hold the donated items and also make other things that are included in the bags, such as blankets and bibs. So this whole paragraph is about how she uses volunteers. And I think the reason that I put this paragraph here again was so that we could look at it and see there is nothing here in paragraph 4 about, I love the way that pointer is doing that. There's nothing here in paragraph 4 about finding the toys the kids want. The foundation even has starter kits so that others can begin projects where they live. Thanks to these kits, about 70 other care bag programs have been started. One of these programs is managed by people in Africa who once received bags from Wignall. So, the next time you have an idea for helping others, remember Care Bags, a project that shows how a good idea can make a big difference. Also remember that this person was only 11 years old when she thought up this idea and got it started. Read the following sentence from paragraph 6. That's the paragraph we just read. One of these programs is managed by people in Africa who once received bags from Wignall. What does that tell you? Why did the author put that part in there? Was it to illustrate how many care bags programs there are in the world? Maybe, because this is in Africa. I'm going to put a question mark there. Okay, I'll put a question mark there. Was it to show that Wignall's project has a positive effect on others? It sure had a positive effect on those people, didn't it? They started their own. So I'm going to put a question mark there. But never answer a question until you've read all the answer choices. Does it demonstrate why more volunteers are needed for care bag programs? No, didn't say anything about volunteers, I don't think. Nope. Does it show how long it takes for Wignall's bags to reach people? Let me erase those red lines I accidentally drew. It does not say anything about how long it takes for the bags to reach people. So our answers choices are A or B. One of these programs is managed by people in Africa who once received bags from Wignall. That could illustrate how many care bag programs there are in the world. Doesn't tell anything about a number though. Or it could show that Wignall's project has made a positive effect on others. Now these people once received bags from Wignall. They got bags. And it made such an impression on them, such a positive effect, that they started their own program. Which sentence from the selection shows that Wignall's project has expanded over the years? Oh, let's read. She and other volunteers placed these items in bags to give to children who needed them. That doesn't talk anything about how it's grown over the years. Nope. After the bags are filled, they are sent to children who need them. Does that talk about how it's grown over the years? You have to read the whole question over the years or listen to the computer read the whole question. Volunteers who sew make bags and hold donated items and also make other things that are included in the bags, such as blankets and bibs. I don't see anything about it getting bigger over the years. Thanks to these kits, about 70 other care bag programs have started. That sounds like it grew. I think that's our answer. Okay, and now the summary question. After talking to her parents, Annie Wignall started a project called Care Bags. Okay, I see a beginning. I'm going to draw ahead for summary, Sam. Yeah, okay. People who work with children contact Wignall's group about children who need help. Volunteers for the project then fill bags with toys and other items. All right, I'll give them that. That's a middle. I don't see anything about how the program has expanded or how they do it in Africa. Let's check the other answers. I made answer F red. I'm going to make answer G purple. Annie Wignall wanted to find a way to help other children. After talking to her parents, she decided to gather items that children needed and put them in bags for delivery. Okay, that's sort of a good beginning. I'll make a head. Many people volunteered to help Annie with her project, which became known as care bags. Again, it's talking about the people that volunteered, but I don't see anything about what finally happened, do you? Poor Sam, no arms. Let's use green for the next one. After hearing about a family that had to leave their home suddenly and left some things behind, Annie Wignall decided to create the Care Bags Project. I like that beginning. I'll give Sam a head. The project provides bags containing toys and other items to children who need them. Project volunteers have helped thousands of children all over the world. I see right there, I see the middle. It provides items to children who need them, and I see that it's all over the world, which would be an end. But never answer a question until you've seen all the answer choices. Annie Wignall gathered some items in a bag for children in need and decided to start the Care Bag Project. Okay, I see a beginning. The project has now helped children all over the world by putting together many more similar bags. Wignall still directs the project's activities. Well, that's a really good end, but I don't see any middle. So, look at our summary Sams. Which one is the winner? You're right. It is H. It's got a beginning and a middle and an end. Now, this one has more details about the beginning, but that's not what we're looking for. We're not looking for more details. We're looking about one that has the beginning, the middle, and the end. Now, we read both stories. We read the questions for story one. We read story one. We answered the question for story one. Done. We read the questions for story two. We read story two. We answered the questions for story two. Done. Now, here are the questions about both stories. And you know what? Usually you don't have to go back and read the stories for these. Do you see how it says? Just a minute. Fighting for hunger with a kick. Ah! Here we go. Fighting for hunger with a kick and caring for kids is in the bag. You're going to use both of those to answer the questions. Now, let's take a look at them. Let's see if we need to look back or not. The authors of the two selections probably intend for the reader to learn how the two organizations selected leaders who could accomplish more than members expect. The two organizations didn't select anything. The leaders selected themselves by starting the organizations. Nope. The food baskets are involved with organizations that aid children. Does the story about caring for kids is in the bag have anything to do with food? No. Each organization grew out of a person's desire to help others. That could be it. Let's see if the last one is better. The two organizations make use of volunteers. That's true too. They both use volunteers. But which of these answers is the author intend, both of the authors intended for the readers? What did they really want you to know? How each organization grew out of a person's desire to help others? Or how the two organizations make use of volunteers? Which one of those is more important? Correct. I heard you say C, and you were correct. What is one way that Kicking for Hunger is different from the Care Bags Foundation? How are the two different? What's one way that Kicking for Hunger is different? Kicking for Hunger accepts donated items to give to communities in need. Now, the Care Bags Foundations, they accept donated items. Kicking for Hunger accepts food. The Care Bags Foundations accepts toys and books and other stuff, not food. So, but they both accept donated items. Okay? So it can't be F because they both accept donated items. We're looking for one way that Kicking for Hunger is different. Kicking for Hunger focuses on meeting the needs of children in a community. Does Care Bags Foundation focus on meeting the needs of children in a community? Yeah, so they're the same there, not different. Kicking for Hunger needs a leader to decide how best to support a community. It doesn't need a leader, it has a leader. Now let's look at the last one. Kicking for Hunger provides training in exchange for donations to help the community. Care Bags Foundation doesn't provide training, it just provides the bags. Kicking for Hunger provides training for kids to learn how to play soccer. One way that Whaley and Wignall, Whaley is the boy with the soccer club, Wignall is the girl that gives out care bags. How are they alike? One way that they are alike. Let's check it out. They both want to attend college and earn teaching degrees. If we looked back at the story, we would find out that Gabriel Whaley doesn't say anything about getting a teaching degree, and Annie Wignall already has one. So, nope, that's not how they are alike. It doesn't say anything about what he wants. They both received awards for their willingness to assist others. I don't know anything about how Annie Wignall received an award, but I'll put a question mark by that one. Their concern for other people has inspired both of them to think creatively. Now that's absolutely true. And their enjoyment of volunteering has motivated them to start their own organization. That's true too. Which one of these do you think is the best answer? I don't think it said anything about Annie Wignall receiving an award. So it's either C or D. Their concern for other people has inspired both of them to think creatively, or their enjoyment of volunteering has motivated them to start their own organization. I think their concern for other people is most important. How is Kicking for Hunger different from the Care Bags Foundation? Okay. Kicking for Hunger has adopted more goals to meet, while Care Back Foundation has adopted the same goal but helped additional children. I don't know. Let's see if another answer makes more sense. Volunteers are needed to operate Kicking for Hunger, while Care Bags Foundation can operate without volunteers. No, they cannot. They didn't have somebody sewing and filling those bags, they'd have nothing. Kicking for Hunger donates food to assist people of all ages, while Care Bags Foundation donates toys and other items to children only. That's true. We're going to accept that. Okay. Whew. That was hard. We just finished the hardest part of a STAR test. Look at me carefully in the eye. When it comes to the place on your STAR test where it says to read the two stories, number one, don't read them both at the same time. Here's what I would do. You take a brain break between the stories. You read the questions for the first story, read the first story, answer the questions for the first story. Take a brain break. By the way, the teacher has to give you as many brain breaks as you need. Read the second story, or read the questions for the second story, answer the second story, read the second story, and then answer the questions. Then I wouldn't take another brain break because you still got the story sort of fresh in your mind. I would go ahead and answer the last 4 questions. But after you finish this whole part, take another brain break. That is the hardest part of the STAR test, where it tells you to read 2 stories. Don't read them both and then try to answer all the questions. I miss you guys. Here's Banana Mrs. Lansford dancing, saying that she misses you so much. I wish I could be with you. Bye. Thank you. I know this was a tough class. Thank you for hanging in there. Bye.